Coffee with Liv, bringing you together, chance I get. Shout outs and tributes and what you're snacking on, Liz. Liz digging canoe, bringing you together. Liz digging canoe, get ready for the show.
Hello and welcome. If this is the first time joining, my name is Liz, and every other Sunday morning, I have a casual conversation with a amazing YouTube personality, and today is no exception because in a few minutes I will be chatting with Tim, who is otherwise known as the Country Dirt Kid. Right on. Oh my goodness. If that is something that gets you warm and all excited all over, then absolutely consider subscribing to the channel. And when you do, remember that you have to hit the notification bell so you do not miss out on any of my live streams or content. My goodness. Let me just have a little slurp. Yeah, let me have a little slurp. All right. Oh my goodness. As I do in every single live stream, I am going to ask you all to do me one big favor. Hit the like button on this stream. It not only helps the stream to rank a little bit higher, but just one day we might be suggested on somebody's homepage, and the amount of people in that chat is just gonna skyrocket, and that is a really, really good thing. Oh my goodness. I gotta say hello to everybody out there, because if you weren't out there watching, I'd pretty much be talking to nobody, and that's no fun, is it? So let me scroll up and say hello to everyone. Now, when I do scroll, I don't get everybody. It doesn't go from the very beginning. So hopefully I will say hello to each and every one of you. But if I do miss you, put an @𝗥𝗔𝗗𝗓𝗥 in your comment. It will highlight on my side. I will see that and I will go, holy smokes, I got to say hello to this person. Okay. All right. Zulu 079er1 says it's 6:30 in the morning for me. Holy smokes, and you're awake. Sunday morning. Zulu, thank you so very much. I do appreciate that. Finding Alabama in the house. He says coffee is brewing. Right on. The Canadian Relic Recon. Steve in the house says good morning. Good morning to you, Steve. Right on. We also have a viewer from Italy. We have the electrician, Free Territory of Trieste, formerly from Winnipeg, which is in Canada, if you don't know that, but now in Italy. So thank you so much for joining all the way from Italy. It is 4 p.m. there. Really? It's 4 p.m. there. Oh, okay. Neil, Diggers Down Under, the comic chef from Australia. So it's like 10 p.m. in Australia. Thank you very much, Neil, for joining. Right on. My goodness. Frederick Romano, also here. Treasure Talk. Jeff is in the house. Just want to say that this Monday on Treasure Talk, the guest on the show is going to be the creator, the proprietor of 𝗘𝗫𝗖𝗔𝗟𝗑 metal detectors, which is probably going to be a big time detector. Watch the show. There's going to be, I think, 10 𝗘𝗫𝗖𝗔𝗟𝗑 t-shirts on for giveaway. They are really, really nice. They're black. Very, very nice shirts. That's Treasure Talk every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Facebook and on YouTube. So right on. Gary G says good morning. Good morning, Gary G. Right on. Nightbot is in the house. Oh my goodness. I got I got a new mouse. It's red. Check that out. I got a new mouse. I didn't know that you have to actually fidget with the mouse, because when I move my mouse on the screen, it's really, really fast and it kind of hops off the screen and stuff. So I have to tone it down because the scroll wheel is just scrolling really, really too fast for me. Detecting coppers in the house. After lunch, I'm going to be meeting up with Detecting Coppers, and we are going to be filming a collab. So stay tuned for that. The Malaysia metal detector in the house. We have Italy in the house. Of course, we have North America. We have Australia, and now we have Malaysia. Canuck Nation is truly, truly international, and I thank you all for joining. Jimmy Cloak in the house. Right on, Jimmy. Mike Mayo says hello to everyone. Mayor Videos Merlin says hello as well. Southern Relics, right on in the house. My goodness, right on. Oh my goodness. Wonderful. Today, as I said in the beginning, my very special guest today is Tim, who is also known as the Country Dirt Kid. So I am going to bring Tim onto the screen, and we will start the chit chat. So right on. Daryl Smith, sorry if I missed you. Also in the house. Daryl Smith says, when are we going detecting? Daryl, if you're talking about me or you're talking to me, send, oh my goodness, why does this say off the cuff? This is not off the cuff. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh, gotta change that. Oh my goodness, this is not off the cuff. What is this? What is that? Oh my goodness, I can't believe I didn't see that. Well, let's do that, and then let's do that. There we go. Boom, in case you're wondering. Boom, 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 boom. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's what happens when you do live. Going back to Mr. Daryl Smith, send me an email, diggingcanuck@gmail.com, and let me know when you would like to go detecting, and I will be there. We will definitely make it happen. So right on. All right, so what I'm going to do is let me bring my guest in. There he is. Right on. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Tim, the Country Dirt Kid. Welcome to the chat, Tim.
Hey, Liz, thanks for having me. People in the comments, it's good to see you. I have a lot to talk about because I never get a chance to talk metal detecting because I love metal detecting so much. If I were to tell people about my adventures, they would look at me like I'm crazy. So the fact that I can talk to people that are like-minded, that opens up the door to good conversation. So I have a lot to talk about, and it's good to see you guys.
Wonderful. Tim, has it been your experience that when you talk about metal detecting to people that perhaps haven't really heard that people do this, do they kind of look at you funny?
Yes, they do. That's why I try to stop myself from talking about metal detecting, even though I love it so much. So what I do is I try to, if I want to tell somebody about something, I'll tell them about something I found. Like, hey, I found an old coin yesterday, and this coin was 150 years old. And they say, how'd you find it? And I say, metal detecting. So I have to start off with something that they understand. You know, collecting coins is a hobby, and people understand that. So then it seems a little bit more normal. Yeah.
Yes. Now, let's just begin with the name of your channel. The Country Dirt Kid? How did that come about?
When I was in college, I used to play baseball, right? I played college baseball, and I was on a team, and I felt like I was important. And when I graduated college, worker, and I wanted to like feel important again. So I tried to play. I used to play guitar and write songs, you know. And so I made an album called Country Dirt Kid, which was like a country album.
Oh.
And so I wanted to entertain people, and so that's where Country Dirt Kid came from. Now that screen name is a ripoff of another song called Red Dirt Girl. Does anyone in the comments, have you ever heard of Red Dirt Girl? Do you know who wrote that song?
Probably not. I'd be surprised. I would really be surprised.
Okay, well, it's a famous singer called Emmylou Harris, but my screen name is a ripoff. Yeah,
okay.
my screen name is a ripoff of a song that she wrote called Red Dirt Girl. I changed it, so yeah.
Okay. Now, Tim, from watching your videos, it is like super duper evident that you have an incredible passion for not only the outdoors, but history as well. Now, is there an event or maybe something in childhood or maybe like something like a little while ago that piqued your interest and got you hooked on history and outdoors?
Definitely, and I sent you those pictures that you can share with everyone. Okay, so we'll bring up one of those pictures. Okay, so I wasn't ever into metal detecting until I bought an old house. And I bought this house that was like, built in 1907, and the house was falling apart, so I had to remodel. So, I mean, this wall back here, I ripped it down with crowbars, and I tore up the floor, and I redid the ceiling, and I changed the doors out. As I was remodeling the house, I found pieces of old newspapers that were shoved in all the cracks. Because back in the old days, we didn't have insulation. They used to take just newspapers, crumble them up, maybe get them wet, and shove them in the cracks, and that's how they would keep drafts out. So as I was remodeling the house, I would see old newspapers, I would pull them apart and try to read them. And they were historical newspapers, and I was like, who did this? What does this newspaper say? And as I was tearing apart the house, I found like little notes that the carpenters wrote on the wall. And they used to write little calculations, and I was thinking, wow, somebody 100 and whatever years ago stood here and wrote themselves a note on the wall, And then something big happened. As I pulled off a piece of wood, the baseboard, I turned it over and I saw a woman's name. And I thought, wow, now I have a name. I wonder who this is. And the reason why her name was on the piece of the baseboard was because she probably picked that out and told the carpenters, this is what I want. So I had to find out who this woman was because I had her name, I had her house, my house, And so I decided to get a metal detector, borrow one, and see if I could find anything that she may have dropped in the yard. Okay? So in order to figure out who she was, I had to do some genealogy research. So I had to borrow somebody's genealogy or ancestry.com website. Have you heard of that?
Yes.
Okay. So I had to borrow their account, and I looked her up and I found her picture. Okay. So I sent you a picture. It's just called picture 1. Can you put that up?
Sure, I can put that up. Let me pop that up. All right, and hang on here. Oh my goodness.
So
there you go. She's up on the screen.
You got to scroll out. Can you do that?
I've got Ruth Wanzer up on the screen.
Okay, there we go. Thank you. Okay. So that's the lady. That's the lady that lived in my house. And when I metal detected the yard, I found that locket. So I found that locket, and when I put the two next to each other, when I put the picture next to the locket, I said, that's got to be hers.
Yeah.
And so, because it looks like the same time period, like 1900, so I said, that's the one thing that said, I've got to do more genealogy research and do more metal detecting and tie it together. That's how I came up with the idea.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, okay.
That's actually really, really cool.
Yep, so we can take that picture down, but just to look at her picture, it's kind of ghostly. When I walk down the stairs of my house, I think that woman walked down the stairs of this house,
Yes. Yeah. Have you ever had any like supernatural things in your house, or have you ever felt anything?
I have not. Now the house shakes all the time because because trains go by,
Okay.
and it makes all kinds of weird noises. Old houses make weird noises all the time.
Yes.
But eventually you get used to it, okay? But one thing that is ghostly is in the basement, back in the old days, they used to shovel coal, and they used to warm the house with coal. And all along the basement, you see little kid fingerprints on the wall that are
Ooh.
black with coal.
Oh.
And those are the little kids' hands that had to go
Oh.
down there and shovel the coal. So to this day, there's still little kid fingerprints from 100 and something years ago. It's ghostly.
That is actually really, really cool.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, so it's amazing.
Oh my goodness. Now, wow, that's, some people would have got rid of those little fingerprints. I'm glad you kept them.
I have a whole collection of them. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Now, from reading let's go back a little bit. So you decided to create a YouTube channel.
Mhm.
Why?
Mhm.
That's not something that most people do.
Mhm. Back to my early 20s. Um, when I was in college, I used to work in tourism. Like, you've been to Florida, right?
Of
I
course.
y Yes, you have, okay. Now alligators there. Did you see alligators in Florida?
um, did I personally see them? No, I didn't.
Okay, well, in Florida, it's a big thing for tourists to come and watch alligator shows, right? Alligator shows.
Ah,
I used to do these alligator shows. I used to do, like, gator wrestling shows, right? A little
wow.
presentation to the tourists, and you hold the alligator up, blah, blah, blah. And so, after I had to leave that job because it's too dangerous, you don't get insurance, but after doing alligator wrestling shows, when I went back to normal life, it was so boring because there was nothing exciting, it was just office work, So I went from
Hmm.
alligators to office work.
Hmm.
So I decided I wanted to be back on camera because when you do the alligator shows, there's always people taking pictures. So I just felt like I wanted to be on camera.
Hmm.
So I started a YouTube channel.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. And I started watching everybody else's channels. And some people in the comments, I've watched their channels, and I liked it. And I thought like I want to be part of the movement. So I decided to do that. So it's been a wild adventure.
Right on, right on. Now, one of your earliest, I think it was your second video ever posted on your YouTube channel, was called "Digging for Lost Pioneer Relics," and you found
Mhm.
a hand dug well as well as a bottle dump. Did that kind of solidify things for you? Like this is what I'm doing.
Um, I made that video and I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't even hardly know how to turn my camera on. I was out there making a video trying to figure out what the on button was, you
Uh,
know.
yeah.
And so when a video, I have one. That doesn't mean it's going to get watched, but I've got one up on the board, and now I feel like, yep, I've got my detector, and I have detected. So.
Right on. Now, in that video, you actually used, I think it was a Garrett Ace.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm.
what detector are you using now?
Okay, so now I use the AT Pro, and I started off with the Ace because I borrowed it, right?
Oh.
And I loved it so much that the person who I borrowed it from, they said, "Okay, keep it, 'cause
Ah.
you love it so much. Okay, just take the detector."
Yeah.
And so I detected with that, but I had to take care of responsibilities, So
Hmm.
I would love to have bought like, top of the line detector. So I used that for a long time. And then finally I got the AT Pro. And the reason why I got the AT Pro is because of the type of detecting that I do. I got to walk through the water and I got to walk through vines in the woods, and I slip in the mud and I slid down the bank into the river, so that detector has withstood the test of time. It's been out for 10 plus years now,
Hmm.
and there's been nothing but good reports on the durability and the customer service because
Hmm.
I wrestle with this stuff all day long. You buy something and then it breaks, and then when you go to call customer service, there's no one there. So and
Or
it's
they're in another
mhm,
continent.
mhm. And it's not that way with Garrett. And so when they call Garrett customer service, you get a live person that says, "How may I help you, sir?"
Hmm.
That's
Yeah.
what I want. Now I know
Hmm.
there's better detectors, but this one is durable. And you know how people look like their pets? They resemble their pets. I think this detector resembles me. I don't know. Probably because it's covered with dirt all the time.
Oh my goodness. Do you feel that the upgrade in the detector has helped you find
Absolutely.
more relics and stuff?
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Because with the entry level detector, I always wondered, like, why am I not finding coins? It's just ridiculous. It drives me crazy.
Ah.
And then when I got the AT Pro, all of a sudden I started finding coins, not only clad, because I find clad everywhere, but I was finding old coins, and I was like, okay, now this is detecting, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Now, I first became aware of your channel. I actually stumbled upon your channel about a year ago because I saw the words genealogy. Well, I saw the word genealogy in your in the title of the video, and that to me was just, I mean, that was like a bop. Now, when did it first occur to you to kind of connect the two, connect genealogy and metal detecting? Was that from your house, your house experience?
It was, and the next thing that helped me develop that idea is maps, old
Ah,
maps. The old maps where I live, and people in the comments probably where you live too. You can find where the original properties were, and back in those days, they put the person's name on the property. So I would be metal detecting a farm, and I'd just be looking for, where the old house was.
mm-hmm.
And when I looked at the old map, not only did I see where the old house was, I also saw the person's name.
Mm,
And I thought, if I type that in to ancestry.com, I bet you I can find their pictures. Okay. And so, like, it worked. For instance, and we'll pull up another picture. Here's an old map. It's got the names on it of the people who live there.
mm-hmm.
Take that map, take those names, I type it into ancestry.com, or there's a free one called Family Search, and then I find information like the picture. So, like,
Mm.
these people right here, they lived on that farm, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And then when you do the genealogy stuff, you find all kinds of crazy stuff. Like I found those people that I just showed you. I found their marriage
Ah, yeah, yeah.
license. Whenever you find something, it's like a flash of enlightenment because
Mm-hmm.
you pretty much know who actually dropped that.
Yeah,
And
that's pretty cool.
once again, like here's the family, all right? And
Yeah.
I'm most likely, I dug this up yesterday or the other day. Here is their stove from their house,
Oh, that's
you know?
cool. Yeah.
So, yeah, and so the thing about hunting farms is if you found this in a park,
Mm.
you would not dig this up. I mean, you could not dig this up in a park because you would cause a scene, right? Yeah.
Yes, yes.
But if you're on a farm, the farmer asked me, "Where you going?" I'm like, "Well, I'm going to get my big shovel." He said, "Oh, okay, good. Good luck." It's a different attitude. So,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
So we
Now,
live in a country.
yes. Now, I think you might have answered this, but I was going to ask you, how do you decide on a family from metal detecting? Do you just do the map first, or do you just find a name and research that and then go from there? How do you do that? Do you start with the farm? Do you start with the family, or?
Mhm. Yeah. I've started to metal detect. I live in the country, so I drive out to the outside of town, all right? And then I ask the owner if I can metal detect, right? Because if you don't have permission, then it does no good to do any research because you're not going to detect it. So why would you research if you don't have permission? So number one, get permission, okay? Now, the second thing I do is I look at the modern day map and I compare it to the old map. And so if you want to put up one of those pictures,
Yep.
I have here, we need to look at picture number 4. Can you
All
put
right.
that up? Because that
Yep.
explains perfectly what
All
I'm
right.
doing
Let
here.
me share the page. There you go. All right. It's up on the screen. There's like a 7-second delay, Tim.
Okay, all right, sorry. Okay, so here we go. Yes, so there it is right there. So what you're looking at is the map of where I'm detecting, okay? And then to the left of that, you're looking at the old 1800s map. And so you can find these 1800s maps. So once I find the property I'm going to detect and I get my permission, I put it right by side next to the 1800s map. And do you see the blue arrow there, how it says number 11?
Yes.
Okay, and then so in the United States, we use something called sections, and the old maps and the new maps, the sections line up. So if you find number
Ah.
11 on the new map, you also found number 11 on the old map. So that
Ah,
is it.
okay. Yes.
Yes. So then do you see like the little red circle?
Yes.
Okay, so that's got somebody's name, and the guy's name is Birdsall, and then it has a little black square, and that little black square is the house.
Ah,
Okay,
okay. Yes.
so then I go right to where that is, and I metal detect. And if you put up another picture, I'll show you what I found.
Yeah, which one?
There. I found, if you go to 4A.
Yep.
4A. Okay, so if you're looking at 4A, like as I was detecting that, I found stuff that probably belonged to that guy because he lived there in 1900. He lived there in 1900. And so the stuff I found some 1900s bottles when I was metal detecting. And so it was pretty safe bet that those bottles belonged to him. And so since those bottles belong to him, I can find out some information about him. And so another thing I do for my research is to research old newspapers. Now, this is interesting for you guys that live in Arctic conditions, like, and I know you do, right? Yeah. The wintertime is long and you want to go metal detecting, but you just can't. So, but you can research on old newspapers. You can find all kinds of places to metal detect by reading old newspapers. And if you look at that picture, I have a little snip of a newspaper, and I found that on a site called Chronicling America. Okay. Yeah, you can take that picture down now, but
All right.
yeah.
Okay, hang on.
Thank you. Yeah. So I found that
Hang on.
it's okay.
There you go. All right, you're back.
Okay, so I found an article about the guy that lived there on Chronicling America. It's free, and if you want to search your own family or something, just type their names in. It'll search hundreds of newspapers all over. It goes back to like 1830, so it's very interesting. If it's a dark, cold winter day and you can't metal detect, check out Chronicling America. You can find places to metal detect just by reading about your town. Yeah.
Now, I was also gonna. You've mentioned some, so I was gonna ask you were some of the sources that you use. Do you use like aerials or anything like that? Do you?
Yes, I use historic aerials. Have you seen that before? Historic aerials?
I've heard of it. I'm not really sure on whether or not Canada has those maps though. But yes, I have heard about them.
Okay, so yes, I use aerial photographs, but there's no substitute for groundwork. Like if in order to find where the house was, you've got to get on the ground. You can look at this computer screen all day, but you got to get on the ground and go out there and metal detect. And so where I live, you got to follow the iron, right? Because when you detect on farms, there'll be a field where there's hardly anything there, and then there'll be a whole big iron bed where the old house detected burned down years ago. So if you find where the iron is, that's pretty much where the house is, and then you'll find your coins and your buttons and your awesome stuff. So
right on. Now I think that I think you're up to episode 18 on metal detecting genealogy. Have you become wiser from metal detecting genealogy episode number 1 to 18? Have you learned some tricks or some things that have helped you helped your success?
Yes, and that's looking at the layout of the land. So when you detect a farm, there's always high spots and low spots. And anytime you build a house, you're going to change the layout of the land in some way. So if you just step back and look at the layout of the land, you can kind of see where there was an old driveway or an old road. It'll be like a little elevated place. And so knowing like where the house was or where the road was or where the privy was, like the old outhouse, knowing where that should be eliminates so much guesswork. And now I can spend more time detecting in a good area rather than wandering around in another part of the field and not find anything. So yes, I've gotten sharper with that.
Do you have any suggestions on I guess the best thing to do is to have an idea from an old map where the actual structure sat at one time. But let's say you don't have that and you're just at a field that you have permission for. Is there a method like maybe a crisscross or something for you to find that iron field faster?
I think it's like because sometimes it's just so hard to tell. But if you get friends out there, then you can wave at each other and say, "Hey, I'm finding stuff over here," and then everyone can spread out. So do you know the channel Madison, Maine?
Yes, of course. Yes.
Okay. Yes, Madison, Maine. So Madison, Maine, they've got 4 or 5 people out there all detecting, and sometimes it's new people, so that type of environment. So if you have a big area, bring some friends over and then make a competition out of it. That will bring you to the right place. And then once you once somebody finds something good, everybody else kind of moves in a little bit closer to them, even if they do it subconsciously. You kind of move a little bit closer. So I think more detectors, the better, because I spend a lot of time wandering around, wasting time, you know. So.
Yes. Now, can you share some stories perhaps and some relics with us?
Yeah. So the map that I just showed you, like I showed you, like I found a bottle and all that stuff. Okay. Interestingly, you can use the relics to find something out about the person, you know. And so when I went to that house, I found two things. Two things. I found cigarette tins, you know, like back in the 1900s, like everybody smoked, you know. I found lots and lots of cigarette tins, and I found lots of broken cough syrup bottles, you know. So that kind of told me something about the person. I bet you he was the type of person that smoked a lot, had a smoker's cough, and drank a lot of cough syrup, you
Yes.
know. So it's little things like that, that kind of light up the day, you know.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
The next find I want to show you. Now this is kind of crazy here. Can you see what this is? Can you take a guess?
Is that a bone?
Yeah, it's a bone, right? So this is episode 2. I was metal detecting, and I found a pit, right? Like a pit. And in the pit, I found a bunch of like old junk and stuff, and I found a couple spoons.
Oh,
And
very
the
nice.
spoons, they could barely make out the maker's mark. They were 1800 spoons that were 1800s bottles, right? And then when I got down to the bottom of the pit, I found this bone right here. And so if you look at that right there, it's been sawed off, you know. And I found some other bones right there. And so because these bones were found in a pit with 1800s relics, I'm thinking these bones are 1800 bones, right? Now it doesn't seem like they're gonna survive. They should have decomposed by now, but the pit was also full of brick mortar, right? Brick mortar. Well, brick mortar is alkaline in nature, and so the alkaline brick mortar kept the bones from being dissolved by acids over the years. So I'm pretty sure that this is actually the farmer's dinner, and his name was Levi. His name was Levi Woodward. I'm pretty sure that some guy named Levi Woodward had soup for dinner one day back in 1870, you know. So that type of thing just lights me up.
That's pretty cool. That's really, really cool.
Yeah. Okay. So I know farms now too. Your last couple episodes, you were working like a farmyard. How did that go for you?
Yes. Oh, you're asking me questions now.
Yes.
Oh,
We're turning the tables.
Oh my goodness, the tables have been turned. Wonderful at the yeah, it's just, see, for me, it's all about the relic and the history behind the relics. I actually found an axe, and I really didn't know that it was old, but John, the gentleman who invited me to the permission, as soon as I showed it to him, he says, "Oh, that's really, really old." It was actually like a fold-over axe. It was not. It was a solid piece of metal, and then the blacksmith just kind of, I guess, folded it over. It was very, very. It was not symmetrical whatsoever or anything like that. And then when I did the history, I learned that it was late 1700s, which to me, I've never dug anything from the 1700s. And going back and doing the history, that axe was actually used to create the field, like to chop down the trees that were in the forest that was on that field before it was a field. And that to me is like worth the price of admission alone. That is why I go metal detecting for that. Wonderful.
Speaking of axes, can I show you my favorite axe too, since you shared your story with me?
Sure.
Okay. So if you go to picture number 6, and then there's one more after that.
Picture 6.
Picture number 6. And this is how I found my favorite axe head, and it's
Oh, let me
beautiful.
share this.
Hmm.
Goodness.
Hmm.
There you go.
Okay, so if you look at that picture right there, you'll see that it's got a newspaper article and it's got a map and it's got a gravestone. And so the story is that I came across this farm where the farmer that lived there back in 1860s, he probably had dementia, he probably went insane. And so there was a newspaper article saying this farmer can no longer take care of himself. Somebody please come forward, you know? And so,
Oh.
so do you know what I immediately thought? I immediately thought, this right here, alone, back in the 1860s. I wonder if he had a mason jar full of coins that he kept buried. You know, you've heard those stories, right?
Yes.
So I thought, wow, there's an old guy that had dementia and he lived there by himself. He may have had a mason jar full of coins, and I know where the farm is, so I'm going to go detect. So I went out there and I detected my heart out. You know, you can take that picture off, and then I detected.
Hang on. Sorry.
Okay.
All right, there it is. There you are.
Okay, so I went out there looking for a mason jar full of coins, and I detected my heart out, and I thought that I was going to find that, but I didn't find that. Instead, I found an axe, and this will be the last picture for a little bit. Can you put up the picture that says axe?
Yes, I can. Let me share that.
Mhm.
There you go. Yes.
Okay. So that I found that axe right there, and that is handmade by a blacksmith that probably belonged to that farmer. And you can see that I cleaned it with electrolysis. You've heard of that, right?
Yes, I
Yeah.
I actually need to do that. I have my bucket rigged up. I haven't done it yet, but I will do it.
Yeah, yeah. It's a fun thing to do, and it cleans it up to like museum quality. I mean, it's pretty interesting how it works, and it's not really that hard. So okay, so there's my axe. Okay, so when you detect, yeah, you can take that picture down. When you detect, sorry,
No, that's okay. I love having pictures. I love it. Thank you.
I don't want to like tell you what to do.
No. You go right ahead.
Okay, so you seem to be an extrovert, right? Okay, now obviously I'm an extreme introvert. Really, my real personality is an introvert. That generates a problem with asking for permission. And to do the channel that I do, I have to ask permission a lot.
Yes.
That's hard on me. How do you ask permission?
How do I've never had a permission. I've put ads out there. I'm more of a I kind of try to do it in the not so out in the open. I have people that I speak to, property owners and that kind of thing that I know, or I rely on networking, and I actually have an advertisement that I have out there. I'm not one to knock, even though I never had a problem with like going up to somebody and just like from starting a conversation. I just have a problem knocking on somebody's door and saying, can I metal detect your property?
Yes.
I'm petrified, and that,
And you're an extrovert. Imagine how hard that is for somebody that doesn't want to talk to.
Yeah.
So maybe people in the comments can tell us what they do. Does anyone cold call? I mean, just knock on the door
Oh, that would be
and
really
say,
going.
"Hey, I'm here to metal."
That's going out on a limb. I couldn't do that. I appreciate everybody that can do that. But yeah, I can't.
Yeah. Well, one thing, here's a tip. Here's a tip if anyone's interested. One thing that helped me is to just come right out and say, "Hey, I'm the guy that metal detects and I'm looking for old coins." Because if you like state your business immediately, they'll be more open-minded about it,
Yeah,
right?
some
So
people don't like to mess around.
when you knock on the door, it's a stranger. And today's day and age, a weird doorstep is just awkward. So plus metal detecting is awkward. Anyway, there's a guy that goes to this channel called Weird Guy in the Park. You know that guy?
Yes.
Weird Guy in the Park. I think that's a great name because asking for permission seems weird. But I just come right out and say, "Hey, I'm the guy that metal detects, and I'm looking to find old coins," because that makes sense to them. Saying old coins, that makes sense. If you say, "I want to know if I can metal detect," they may not know what that means. They may think that you're going to break a pipe. They may think that you're going to like cut a wire, or maybe you're looking in the garage to see what you can steal. But if you say, I'm looking
Yes.
for old
Yes.
coins, sometimes I find some good ones. Most of the time I don't, which would be true. They're
Uh-huh.
much more likely to say, oh, you're looking for coins. Oh, that seems normal to me. Sure,
Mhm.
go right ahead.
Yeah. Have you ever had a landowner ask for a relic like that you found?
Yes. I was asking for permission, and I was telling the guy that it was a big permission. This was huge. Okay. Because I actually filmed a documentary. So like I filmed a metal detecting documentary, but first I had to get permission. And if I could not get permission, the whole documentary would have been just out of the question.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was explaining to him, like, these people lived here and your yard probably has a bunch of cool stuff in it, he made it like, well, I wouldn't want you to take it. If you found anything, I wouldn't want you to take it. So then, since I was interested in a documentary and
Mm-hmm.
less interested about the finds, I said, well, anything I find, you can have. Sure,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you can have. And of course, I found, the best coin ever, a giant chunk of silver, and I had to be true to my word. I'm like, hey, I found
Yes.
this silver coin. Here you go, take it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I had to give him the finds. But usually, most people don't care. And so you don't want to say to a landowner, well, I can give you half the finds, because they're going to say, wait a minute, what do you,
Yeah.
what exactly are you going to find anyway? Gold
Yeah.
coins?
Yeah.
So it seems weird.
Yes.
So you just say, hey, I'm looking for some old coins. Sometimes I find some cool coins. They're pretty old, not worth any money, but sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
That makes it more like, where's my share?
Exactly. Exactly. Now, I thought this was really cool. You actually detected the childhood home and park of Ronald Reagan. How
Yeah.
was that? When I saw that, I'm like, hey, that's pretty cool.
I couldn't believe that either. I was driving down the road, and out here in the country, the towns are super, super small. And I was driving down in the country, so I don't know what I was doing, but I saw a sign in the front yard saying Ronald Reagan's childhood home. So then I had to like pull over and work up the gumption to knock on the door. Why wouldn't you detect Ronald Reagan's childhood home? It wasn't a historic site.
Oh.
That was his first home. His second home is a historic site, but the
Mhm.
first one that he was like born in, he was born in that house, that wasn't a historic site. It was just somebody's yard with a sign.
Mhm.
So I knocked on the door and I detected. I had high hopes. I had super high hopes, But as it is in yards, the yard was just infested with aluminum.
Mhm.
People like, I don't know what you do in Canada, but you can get money for your aluminum cans. And people save them up, but then they blow out and then they get hit with lawnmowers,
Oh. Mhm.
and then
Yeah.
you get little pieces of shredded cans everywhere.
Yes.
So the whole yard was infested with aluminum
Mm.
cans that had can slaw. So that kind of put a damper
Mhm.
on it. But the fact that enough was good enough for me. So
Mhm.
yeah. So speaking of aluminum cans, I know you dig parks.
Yes.
How do you deal with aluminum cans? What do you do to discriminate out? Because I know you need to dig nice holes, nice plugs in parks.
Yeah. 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 You know what? I dig it in a park. I dig it. I don't dig the iron in a park because usually that's going to be like a big piece and you'd have to dig a big hole. And I'm not into digging holes, big holes, or digging to China either. There's a certain depth where I'm like, okay, we're going to end this right here and just, pretty up the hole, fill everything up. But I'll dig maybe in a small area. I'll dig maybe 2 or 3 items that turn into aluminum, and then you know what? I'm gonna go over there to a different spot. Like I'll dig 1 or 2 or 2 or 3 aluminum, like back to back aluminum, and then I'm like, that's it. I move. Because for me, like parks is where I find my rings in that. So you gotta dig it all in order to find it. So I mean, yeah, it's how tolerant am I that day to digging trash. It all depends on the day and in my mood. That's it.
Yeah. Ski Searcher says that he's in Kansas land, and Ski Searcher, I ran across his channel and I said, hey, this channel is just like my channel. So I watch it. I watch his channel. So I do watch Ski Searcher. Now his Ski Searcher does something that I can't do because I don't have the nerve. He does curb strips. Right?
Yeah, we'd get shot here. We're not. No curb strips here. No, you can't do curb strips here. But yeah, a lot of people down there do the curb strips.
I don't have the nerve to do that because I just got other places that I can do. But Ski Searcher finds some good stuff in the curb.
Yeah,
So.
lots of silver and stuff there. I'm like looking at these things and I'm like, my God, if I did that here, I'd have people coming out like kicking me off, calling the police and all that. Although that is not, it is city property, but you know what? I don't need drama when I'm detecting. I don't need that stuff, so I wouldn't even bother.
Right, yeah, because you want to have in order to have a good time, you got to be chilled out and relaxed. If you're worried about somebody coming out from behind you all of a sudden.
Yeah. No.
I've even heard of people putting on an orange vest. Like,
yes.
Because if you put on an orange vest, you look just like a dude that's looking for pipes, you know. So
I'm trying to find the property markers or whatever. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so you're hiding in plain sight with fluorescent orange. Yeah, so.
Yeah, no, that's not something that I would ever do. I don't think so.
Yeah.
So Tim, apart from your metal detecting, you do a bunch of other stuff. Like you go bottle digging and mudlarking.
Yes. Now bottle digging is fun and it's completely different than metal detecting, and the reason why, because it's so much easier once you find a place where there's bottles. You don't have to go all over the place. You can just sit back and relax and dig. And when you find bottles, you usually find something that's worth money, right? Now, I don't care about money. I don't care. I mean, I can find $100 worth of bottles. I don't care about the money. I'm not selling them, okay? It's just cool to say, hey, this thing's worth $20.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Yeah. So I do bottle digging because where I live, a lot of times the grass is so high that you can't swing the detector, right? So it's really hot out there. But bottle digging is an option. And I wanted to show something that I use as a tip to help me find bottles, okay? And that is this right here, right? So if you look at this, that's an old mason jar lid, right?
Yes.
I had these back in 1860s. Now, back in the old days, there's piles of bottles everywhere in the woods because people didn't have a garbage service. So they used to just take their bottles and just throw them because they didn't want the horses to step on glass. So they just threw them in the ditch or threw them in the ravine or threw them in the woods. Well, most of those bottles that were in piles have been picked up by people over the years because people have been collecting bottles for 100 years, you know. So in any case, the bottles that are left out there in the woods are usually sunken in the ground. And you won't see them. But if you use your metal detector and you find some of these right here, these metal detectors, and they have a certain sound because they're made out of zinc, then you should check that spot for bottles, particularly if it's in the woods, because you can dig and you don't have to worry about, you know, digging a nice plug because it's just woods, right? So this has worked for me so many times. Whenever I find mason jar lids, I dig around. And I usually use a probe, like a metal probe, and I just stab the soil until I start hitting stuff. And then you'll be surprised how many times like an unbelievable, beautiful bottle is sunken in the ground, and you never would have known that. Not in years, unless you had your metal detector tuned in to find mason jar lids. And so bottles are nice because all of them can be identified. Like there's no bottle that can't be identified, you know. So you know what it is you found. And it's worth money. And if you look at this one right here, you can kind of see a little bit of purple on it.
Yeah, I can see a lot of purple.
Yeah, so it's interesting, and that tells you how old the bottle is. Back in the old days, they used to use manganese to make the glass clear, you know, because they thought clear glass was good, was cool. So they put manganese in it to make the glass clear. And after years and years of sitting in the sun, the sunlight turned manganese dioxide is purple. And so any bottle that turns purple like this was made before 1915, right? Because after 1915, they needed the manganese for bombs. Like they used to make bombs out of it, you know, in the war. So if you find a purple bottle, that's before 1915. So that's kind of like the adventure of bottle hunting, is to find the old purple bottles because really old.
Now, what about mudlarking? I think I read in one of your videos that you enjoy watching 𝗥𝗚𝗢𝗪𝗏 over in England.
Do I enjoy watching Nicola or do I enjoy watching mudlarking? So, yeah, because it's all treasure hunting is mudlarking, no matter what it is, right? Because a mudlark is somebody that just walks around in the mud and looks for anything of value. Well, if you're metal detecting on the beach for gold, you're mudlarking. You're just doing upscale mudlarking.
Yes, yes.
And if you're digging in the woods for bottles, you are digging in the mud. You are mudlarking. You're looking for something of value. So it doesn't coin shooting or bottle digging or whatever. It's all the same idea, mudlarking.
I just want to say, I just read a comment in the chat from 𝗥𝗔𝗗𝗪𝗧𝗓 about an old bottle dump that is like near where I live right now. And this is directly to Mr. 𝗥𝗔𝗗𝗪𝗧𝗓. If you would like to take me to that spot and dig bottles, I will do a collab video with you. So there you go. Open invitation to Mr. 𝗥𝗔𝗗𝗪𝗧𝗓. All right? All right.
Yeah, good deal.
Yes.
Yeah, and when you bottle dig, don't get frustrated with the amount of broken bottles that you find. I mean, the majority of bottles are broken, and especially where you live in Canada. And the reason why is this right here. So you've got, let me take one. So you have your bottle, right? And if the bottle is like this, okay, it's gonna fill up with rain and snow, and then when it freezes, it's gonna break the bottle, right?
Yes.
So especially in Canada and where I live in Illinois too. If the bottle is like this, then it's not going to fill up with water, and it's not going to freeze.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
So most of the bottling by ice and snow and water, but if you find one that's positioned just perfectly, it won't be broken. So don't get frustrated with bottling.
You know what? I never thought about that, but that's a great explanation. Thank you for that. Right on, right on. Right.
You're welcome. I do what I can. And where I live, it gets to be 20 below. We have the same weather as you do. We just have it late. Like when you guys get a cold snap, that same cold air comes directly to me.
Okay. All right. Now you also do exploring, like buildings and stuff that you just, come upon. What's the scariest one that you've ever, like anything really sketchy, like it might have been dangerous to go in or anything like that?
Yeah. Not in Illinois. Where I live in Illinois, there's nothing dangerous. And I used to live in Florida. Okay, so in Illinois, there's no poisonous snakes and there's no bats with rabies or anything like that. But when I was living in Florida, yeah, it's dangerous because the 100% chance there's black widow spiders and brown recluse. Do you have any of those?
I think we have brown recluse spiders up here. I think we do. I'm not sure. Okay. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah, if you go to Florida, well, be mindful because I see how you are with cats. Imagine how you would be with spiders.
That I was not expecting anything in that barn. That was just that was crazy.
yeah. So there's spiders, and then I mean, as soon as a place becomes abandoned, nature comes back. Yes. Like the next week, nature is back.
Yeah.
And so and so there's spiders and there's snakes and then there's bats in there, and then there's also not so much where I live in the country. There's no homeless people, but where I used to live in Florida, there'd be lots of homeless people, and there'd be schizophrenic homeless people. So when you go into the building, you always don't want to disturb anybody. So before you go exploring in a building, you say, "Hey, anybody here? Just checking the place out. You guys good?" And that happened to me, and so I went to an old building, and there was a guy sleeping in there, right? And he was a migrant worker. And his job was to be in the United States, and he picked fruit, and so he just lived in anywhere he could, but he was picking fruit. So I saw the guy, and I just want to let him know I'm just looking at the house, man. It's cool. And that was my encounter.
Yeah. I gotta say, in the last 2 years, this year and last year, I have encountered more homeless camps than I ever thought. Like it's the economy and just everything is just. There's a lot of people, like even where I live, tons tons of people that are homeless and that are squatting in
Mhm.
yeah, out in the woods and just places where you really, really wouldn't expect it. Just
Mhm.
crazy. Absolutely
Mhm.
crazy.
And so the
Crazy.
best thing when you think of somebody out there, the best thing to do is to make your presence known and say, "Hello, how you doing? I'm just here looking at stuff," you know.
Yeah, and I
So,
think what you mentioned about not going through people's stuff is really, really important.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. So,
Yeah.
um, but where I live out in the country, abandoned stuff, it's rare to find abandoned stuff. So metal detecting genealogy is my focus, you know. So
Hmm.
I do other stuff because there's times where the ground is frozen, you
Yes.
know, and I
Yes.
can't metal detect, so I have to do some creek walking or something like that, you know.
Yes.
And
Yes.
because of the way YouTube works, if you stop posting, then your subscribers drop out on you, and then your videos are no longer recommended, and then your channel goes dead. So I figured I ought to post something, you know.
Yeah.
So.
It's always a good idea to keep your channel somewhat current. Yeah, and, going long times without posting a video is not good because the YouTube algorithm is like not going to be happy, and we want to keep that algorithm happy now, don't we?
Mm-hmm. Zarps is here. He's talking about homeless camps in South Africa, squatters. Yeah, so
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now Zarps, I need to watch that channel, um, because he does a lot of the stuff I do, like the stuff that I like going into the bush, metal
Yes.
detecting.
Yes.
I like parks and I like yards, and I would do more yards,
Hmm.
but going into the bush is where that's never been detected before.
Exact.
So that's what I
Exactly.
like. Yeah.
Exactly. Now
Mhm.
you were saying about the other stuff that you do. You also, and I know there's a lot of people in the chat that you also do a lot of gardening videos. And I just want to talk about one particular video where you did killer peppers. Do you like
Yeah.
do you like hot peppers? Because I
Yes.
love them. I
Oh, you
absolutely love them.
do?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. They're addicting. I don't know what it is about that, but like when I get like some like hot sauce or something, I'm like, whoa, that was pretty good. It lights you up. It gives you a little shot of dopamine or something like that, you know. So yeah, so I like peppers, and of course it started off with just ordinary Tabasco sauce, and I needed something a little bit hotter, so I got the hottest stuff in the store, and then that didn't even work anymore. And now I'm like growing my own peppers and trying to just get the hottest ones that you can possibly do. So I went to a special website and I got these Carolina Reapers, which is
Ye-
the hottest pepper, you know.
yeah.
And then there was Trinidad Moruga Scorpion. And so I grew those and I got so many hot peppers, I don't know what to do with them. I just got
Really?
bags of, yes, I got bags of them now. So, but
That's not a bad thing, you know.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Do you have there?
I'm sorry, do I what?
Do you have Buffalo Wild Wings? It's a restaurant. Do you
Yes.
have Buffalo Wild Wings up
There's
there?
actually one like 10
Okay.
minutes from here.
Okay. Even though it's kind of expensive, I go there to get ideas. I test out all the different sauces and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do
Ah.
that sauce at my own house, you know. So
Oh,
yeah. So
okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is expensive there. Seriously expensive.
Yeah. So
Oh my goodness. I'm gonna do. We're getting down to the 1 hour mark. We're gonna do rapid fire. Is that okay?
yes, go
We're
right
gonna
ahead. I can't believe it's been an
actually,
hour.
before we do rapid fire, was there anything that we didn't talk about that you want to talk about? How about we do that?
Real quick, I want to talk about a documentary. When I first got into YouTube, I was researching a place I wanted to detect, and I came across a story, and it was such a sad, heartbreaking story that I thought I've got to cover this story. It just hit me in the heart. So it was about a family that came down the river, and they tried to build log cabins, and they tried to make a foster kids in the river. And this is a story that happened where I live, you know, and I live on that river, so I know where they were, and I know the early pioneers that came here. I know where the farm was, and to read the story in the history book about how the kids died and they still tried to make a farm, that was so intriguing to me that I actually made a documentary. I actually got my camera and my metal detector, and I said, okay, I don't know how to make a documentary, but I'm making one anyway, you know. And so at that time, I was a beginner, but that's my life ambition. I made that documentary. That was my bucket lister. So
Hmm.
if you want to watch, it's the only metal detecting documentary on YouTube. It's called In Search of Crandall's Ferry. It's a metal detecting documentary. It's got a little bit of something for everyone. that's my life's ambition, and I did it.
Okay, definitely. I will definitely check that out. Right on, right on. What is your best find ever? Doesn't matter if it's like valuable as far as money, or just what is your best find ever that you would say?
Find it. Okay. My best find ever is a 2,000-year-old stone spear that I found just like in a park. Can you go get that for
Wow.
me? You know where it is? Go get it. I just told my son to go get it.
Okay.
I found a
Wow.
2,000-year-old stone spear that's in perfect condition. It's where the bottles are.
Wow.
It's on the bottle shelf in the back room, yes. So yeah, that's my greatest find. And so these people that detect in Europe, you guys are lucky because you can find stuff that's 2,000 years old. You know, in the United States, in North America, it's hard to find something like that. You know, so.
Wow. Wow.
Mhm, mhm.
I'll yeah, I guess we'll yeah, when your son brings that the spear over, yeah, definitely share that. What about your oldest coin?
Now, my oldest coin was in 1864. I have a picture of it. I don't know if you want to take the time to put it up, but
Yeah,
I
I'll
have.
do that. Tell me which one.
Okay, okay. It is picture number. Okay, it is picture number 3A.
Okay. All right, hang on. There we go.
Okay, yeah. So this right here is a 2-cent coin that I found on a farm. Now, to make a long story short, there's only one house that was ever on this. It's woods now, but there's only one house that was ever on this farm, and that house was owned by somebody named Jasper and owned by somebody named Sally. They're the only people that ever lived there because the house disappeared off the map, right? Jasper and Sally. So when I went out there to the woods, I found where the house was, and I found that 2-cent coin from 1864. I also found a broken dish right there, and that's from 1800s. I researched that too. So since they're the only people that ever it's white. Okay. Since they're the only people that ever lived there, I'm pretty certain that that coin fell out of Jasper's pocket, and I'm pretty sure that that broken piece of china right there came from Sally. You know, so it's so amazing to think
Yes.
that not only did I find a great coin, it was probably dropped by a guy named Jasper and a wife named Sally, since they were the only people that ever lived on that. And of course, the maps told me that. So that's my oldest coin, and I cherish that coin to this day.
That is pretty cool. There's not a lot of there you go. There's not a lot of people that have ever done a 2-cent coin.
In the United States, it's rare. I've got 2 of them. I found one. I found one by a well. Now the thing of it is, why don't I find any silver? You know, I think you find more American silver or American coins than I do. I don't know why. I live in a silver desert. Do you find many American coins?
Actually, John, the gentleman whose permission I've been invited to, a couple episodes back, he found a Barber $50.
Right, that's what I'm talking about. You guys in Canada can sometimes find more silver.
That was like insane.
Yeah, so good find. Congratulations on that.
The person that lost that, probably, we were like talking about that. They probably lost like a month's or so worth of like groceries or whatever. That's a lot of money back then.
To put this in for 2 cents. Yeah, back in the year 1864, 2 cents would buy you a pound of cornmeal. So that puts it in perspective. Yeah. In any case, my son just returned. Here's my stone spear. This is according to the people that researched it for me. This is around 2,000 years old, and it has a very serrated edge that you see right here. That somebody put a lot of time into making this serrated edge, and the fact that it survived all that time is just absolutely amazing. I need to get a display case for it.
That's really, really nice.
I would hate to drop it.
Oh, you know what? Don't say stuff like that, because stuff happens after you say things like that.
Oh yeah. Okay.
That's beautiful. That is absolutely beautiful. Now, most odd find, just something bizarro.
Okay. My most odd find, I think, was.
I don't mean to put you on the spot, but this is rapid fire.
Yeah, okay, I've had something. Okay, the most odd find were these bones right here, because when I first uncovered the bones, I was like, wait a minute, I hope they didn't bury somebody here. You know? Then when I saw that it was cut, I'm like, okay, thank God, it's a soup bone. Yes, so.
Yes, no kidding. Have you ever found gold?
Never Yes, I found gold, but it was just cheap junk gold, and that's why I give up on gold hunting because I live in a country and it's not even worth it to find gold. We don't have beaches here, so you're probably not going to find that much gold. So.
Now, I would imagine that those like the areas that like when you're looking at pioneer
Mhm, mhm.
homesteads and stuff like that, that they silver might not have been that common, but I would think that gold even less. I don't know. I may be wrong.
Yeah, no, 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 and to this day, like the old pioneers, I see them at Walmart, the same families. They're Mennonites, so they look
Oh.
like Amish
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
people, you know? Mennonites, they wear, like, the hairnets, like, the plastic hairnets, and the men have long beards, and they wear,
Yes.
like,
The
the
black.
farmer clothes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. We have
yeah,
them here too.
mhm.
Yeah.
Those people don't buy gold, and they don't carry silver, and so those their ancestors were the ones that owned the farms that I detect.
Mm-hmm.
So, if they don't have gold and silver, their ancestors certainly didn't have gold and
Yeah.
silver.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah. So yeah, I guess that would be that you're gonna find more relics than coins or anything
mhm. Yeah,
else.
yeah, yeah. So, and I did a whole episode on a Mennonite family. But interesting, when you walk through Walmart, you see these Mennonite traditional people, and they've actually graduated. Like they have flip phones now. I see them with flip phones.
Oh,
You know, so so
really?
they're moving up in the world. So
I'm laughing. I'm not laughing at them, just in case anybody thinks that,
no,
I'm not laughing at the Mennonite
right,
people.
right,
Not
right.
at
I just
all.
think I
Yes.
think it's interesting. It's interesting
Yes.
that they have flip phones, which is a
Yes.
good thing because maybe you're not constantly preoccupied with your phone if you don't have scrolling abilities. So that's probably a
Yeah.
good thing. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So,
I remember the first cell phone I had. It was a Motorola, and it was
mhm,
it was pretty big. And
mhm.
and remember texting when you had to like press the letters to text? Do you remember that? Yeah, it took a long
Yeah,
time
you
to
had to
it
think
took a
it
long
had to
time
be
to
important because it took
yes.
forever.
It took forever to send it because you were
Mhm.
like pressing on this, 1, 2, 3, blah 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 blah. And then if you passed it, you had
Yeah.
to go back. Yeah,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
we've come a long way. And so yeah,
Oh,
if the Mennonites are embracing their flip phones, pretty cool. I
yeah.
think I still have a flip phone somewhere around here.
Yeah, I do. I have one because I'm so rough on the phone. I cannot have I can't have an iPhone because it'll break. So, yeah.
Now, is there a metal detector that you'd like to try out, or is there some piece of equipment that you think might help you in your detecting?
Someone in the comments when we were talking about CanSlaw, they said get a CTX. Well, CTX, that's how much is CTX? Like
I think it's like
$3,500
yeah,
maybe?
it's like upwards of 3,000.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I would like to just try it out. Like what is the best top of the line metal detector? Like what is the best technology and what how would that change my hunts by having the CTX, you know? So I would like to try that.
Yeah, I would yeah. That's
You know.
if there's any detect anybody with any
With the CTX.
connections to a metal detecting company that could hook
Okay.
up my friend Tim here
Yes,
with a
thank
top
you.
of the line detector. Even
Mhm,
even if he's going to have it for like a month to test out,
mhm, mhm, mhm.
definitely contact Tim. Yeah, let's see what
Yeah.
we can do, Connect Nation. Let's see what we could do.
Thank you.
Right on. Now, we are winding down the
Thank
show.
you.
Your YouTube channel has 3.4 thousand subscribers. Did you ever think when you first created your channel that 3,400 people would be watching your videos and subscribe to your channel?
I would, but there's a problem. There's a problem with my channel, and I don't know what to do. See, when I first started YouTubing, like I made a bunch of different videos. I made some fishing videos, I made some gardening videos, I made some metal detecting videos. I just made a bunch of stuff to see what it was. Nobody ever watched it, right? Nobody ever watched my nobody. But then I made this fishing video, and all of a sudden it started to get views, and it got more views, and it got more views, and then it got shared, and then it got posted on Pinterest, and then now it has over 100,000 views, blah blah blah. And so that one video gets more views than any of my metal detecting stuff put together. So oftentimes people watch that one fishing video and they're like, "Oh, that's cool. Let me subscribe," you know. And
Mm-hmm.
then I don't do fishing videos anymore. And the reason why I don't is because that market is saturated. I mean, there's a million fishing videos out there, so then there's millions of views. So I don't that market's done. So
Mm-hmm.
I just go to metal detecting. So when people subscribe to my channel for a fishing video and then they see metal detecting videos posted, they unsubscribe. But I don't want to take that fishing. They watch the fishing video and then they're like, oh yeah, I like metal detecting. So that's the problem with that. So
yeah. Sometimes all these different things and our interests, like you'd have to have like multiple YouTube channels, and like taking care of one YouTube channel takes up a lot of time, and you can only imagine if you had multiple channels, like content and editing and all that stuff. I think that would be insane. If you do that, then kudos to you, whoever.
Yeah. I've got 3 young kids, and they all play baseball and softball. And so this time of the year, it's baseball games, softball games, tournaments, baseball games, softball games, tournaments. So that cancels that.
So what's next for Tim? What's next for Tim? What's next for metal detecting? What's next for your channel?
Okay. Well, there's an old there's an old show called Ripley's Believe It or Not.
Yeah. Oh my God, I used to love that show. Loved that show.
One of the early episodes from the 1930s was filmed right here in this town. They did a show about a guy that was blind, and he was the telephone operator. Like he would route the calls on the switchboard, but he was blind. That was filmed in my town right down the street. So I'm going to metal detect that area.
So, that's pretty cool. That's I didn't know that Ripley's was in 1930. I'm not that old.
Yeah. Well, it's the show has had several different done by a guy named Ripley, and so his show started in 1930s, but then it was sold and rebranded. But it's all the same. Ripley's Believe It or Not.
Yes, exactly.
So I'm going to detect where that episode was.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Are you on social media anywhere? How can our viewers keep up with your antics?
I'm social media free because I have a flip phone. So the only thing I have is YouTube. Now I do have the same channel on Dailymotion, which is another video hosting platform. Video hosting platform. So if anything ever crashes on YouTube, I've got this other channel as a backup. So I have Dailymotion.
Okay.
The other thing I do is I go to a forum, and the forum is called Friendly Metal Detecting. Yeah, Friendly Metal Detecting, and I'm on there, and I make lots of posts there. So if you want to see country dirt kid stuff, Friendly Metal Detecting is the forum that I put a lot of my posts on. So it's a good place.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Tim, I want to thank you so very much for joining me today. If the viewers are the least bit interested in genealogy, then you absolutely have to subscribe to this gentleman's channel. But as far as metal detecting, definitely check out the Country Dirt Kid. Yeah, it's just, to me, that is absolutely incredible. And then, you know what, like just touching that stove piece and knowing how many times the lady of the house was making pies and feeding family and maybe even feeding people that work the farm. That's actually really, really cool stuff.
Amazing. That's why I feel obligated. So I feel obligated to go out there because these people had hard lives, and so they made it through, and they worked, and they did a good job. So I feel obligated to tell the story. So that's what my channel is all about. So thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
So yeah, I think that's going to be it. Tim, like I said, thank you so very much. Thank you for sharing the pictures. That was really, really good idea. And yeah, maybe we'll have you back on the show next year.
All right. Thank you very much. It's good talking to you guys.
All right, Tim, I'm going to let you go, and then I'm just going to wrap up the show, if that's all right.
Thank you very much. See you guys later. Bye.
All right. Take care. Wow. That was a great show. My goodness. Just want to say that next week will be a regular Coffee with Liz episode. And then the week following, so 2 weeks from today, I will have Chris, the bird dog, live in the house 2 weeks from today. And that is going to be the last Coffee with Liz until September. So we're going to take the summer off. Gonna let you go detecting on your Sunday morning. I'm gonna go detecting on Sunday mornings in 2 weeks as well. And then we'll all come back in September with some amazing guests. I've got some amazing guests lined up as we speak. So right on, right on. I want to thank you all for joining me. Thank you, Tim, for being a wonderful guest. Check out the Country Dirt Kid. And yeah, what can I say other than great show? Thank you all so very much for joining me today. And if you go out detecting and you find an amazing find, remember to take a picture of it, send it to diggingcanuck@gmail.com, and I will do my very best to share it with everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day, and remember to be safe, and I will catch you on the flip side. Get your official Digging Canuck merchandise at Teespring. Mugs, t-shirts, hoodies, and more. Remember that every purchase you make helps to support the channel. Check out the link in the description down below.